Now we head to the National Assembly, where the Senate has rejected Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's bid to return to plenary, saying her 6-month suspension remains valid. The Kogi Central lawmaker had written to notify the Red Chamber of her plan to resume on September 4, but officials maintained the sanction, which began on March 6, is still under judicial review. Senate leaders cited her pending appeal in court, stressing that no step will be taken until a ruling is delivered. Akpoti-Uduaghan, suspended over alleged insubordination, maintains the action was politically motivated after she accused the Senate president, the Senate leadership, of misconduct. Her earlier attempt to return in July was blocked by security operatives at the National Assembly. Now joining us in the studio for more on this is Promise Adeniran, a lawyer. Promise, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So Promise, if the court says that the suspension was excessive, then the question now is to ask whether, how does it compare with the Senate and the court? Who has the most power at the end of the day?
So nobody has the most power, because that's where the separation of laws and powers come in, you know, and that means every has their powers and should not be
you can cross into any other
you cannot cross. You can only check powers.
Okay.
So the legislature is meant to make laws, while the judiciary is meant to interpret those laws. And so what this has done is, I think it's in line with the separation of powers, with the balance of powers. The legislation has made the law, and then they've reached out to the judiciary to come interpret it. And so they have done that, so I think yes, it's fine.
So yes, again, can Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan seek redress in the courts again for being denied entrance or being denied resumption?
So ordinarily, every citizen has the right to seek redress. Okay. But in the case where you've already sought one, I think it just makes sense that you wait, let the court come back on with the ruling and the judgment on this particular one before you then proceed. Otherwise, it leads to abuse of court process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about her constituency? If there's no representation, doesn't this, where does it put her constituents at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Without representation, apparently, in the past 6 months.
So that's the issue here. I think any other disciplinary measure would have been better, because what this has done is, in a bid to correct one person, a whole other people are suffering. Now, you can say it amounts to disenfranchisement of these certain people, because nobody is speaking for them. Nobody is having their interest in the house. You know, so yes, I think that is affecting the Kogi people at the end of the day.
So how do you think this should be addressed? Because at the end of the day, let me use your words again, it is putting the judiciary and the legislature in bad light. What messages is this sending to the Nigerian people, the Nigerian public, about the interest that the Senate has for people, and in this case, the constituents of Senator Natasha Akpoti's Kogi State constituency? Does this seem like there is a total disregard for these people and their interests at the end of the day if they continue with these processes back and forth with Natasha regarding her resumption or no resumption?
Well, it may very well seem so, because, like I said earlier, it would have been better if any other disciplinary measure was given aside this one that disenfranchises a whole lot of people, you know. However, we need to also realize that every citizen has a right, and that right ought to be protected. So she's a citizen. She has approached the courts, and I would say let's wait it out. Are some people suffering? Yes, but the process has started. The best we can do now is wait it out, let the courts come back, give the judgment on the appeal, and then we can move on from there.
Let's throw in a little drama. How different would this have been, or would this process have gone, was Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan a man?
I don't think it would have been any different. I don't think so. I think, like I mentioned earlier, everyone has a right, and that right ought to be protected, whether male or female. So she has done the right thing by going to court instead of taking laws into her hands. Let's not talk about what led to her approaching the court, but for going to court, she's within her right. Okay. And I think it just makes sense. If we have started doing it the right way, let's complete it. Let's do it the right way, all to the end. So
for Natasha right now, what recourse does she have, whether legal or no? What advice would you give to her as a lawyer and as a woman?
Okay, I would say do the right thing. Stand for what is right. Don't bring in emotion into it. Wait it out. don't let it lead to abuse of court process. Let the court give the judgment and do the right thing. Obey the rule of court. If you have any issue again, you can always appeal to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
But let's keep everything in check. Let's do the right thing, the way it ought to be done.
Easier said than done, appeal to the Supreme Court, but that's time. That's a constituent left without representation. Yes. So that's the problem here. But thank you very much for your expert advice, both as a lawyer and as a woman. Thank you.
Thank you.